Empathy is a practice, not a performance.
Welcome to Agency for Change, a podcast from KidGlov that brings you the stories of changemakers who are actively working to improve our communities. In every episode, we'll meet with people who are making a lasting impact in the places we call home.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Agency for Change podcast. This is Lynn Weinman, President and Chief Strategist at KidGlov. Today's guest is on a mission to transform the way we all think about leadership. Dr. Melissa Robinson-Winemiller is a TEDx speaker. She's an EQ coach, and she's the author of a book called The Empathetic Leader. She has more than 20 years of cross-industry experience where she's helping leaders build emotionally intelligent cultures that not only feel better, here's the key, they perform better. She is here to talk to us about why empathy isn't just a soft skill, it is the key to driving real results. Dr. Robinson-Winemiller, I cannot wait to dive into this topic with you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Lynn. I mean, since we are the wine women, right?
I
We've got
love
the
that.
Wineman and the wine miller in the same place. This is exciting.
It is exciting. And can I ask your permission for something? Would it be okay, since you and I are somewhat friendly, could I call you Melissa throughout this?
Yes, you can.
All right.
Absolutely.
I want to honor that title because I know how much work goes into it, and I know how smart and knowledgeable you are, and I cannot wait to get into this conversation. I'd love to start by just having you tell us more about your work and EQ via empathy.
You bet. So I actually came to this through a lot of personal experience, through seeing some of the way leadership maybe didn't empathize and connect and understand with their people like they could have, and how they were losing profit and productivity and
Yeah.
innovation because of it. I mean, that's really the crux of it, is they were losing out because of what they weren't doing.
Yeah.
And I had done some consulting in healthcare with my husband before this, and I was a musician for a long time. I had seen it in that field, and it was just kind of like there's a pattern here. There's
Mm.
something that I need to look at. So that's when I started kind of digging in and trying to figure out how I could make this something that was skills based instead of just kind of this fluffy puppies and rainbows empathy kind of thing, you know?
Okay. I love that you said that because I do think sometimes that's what people think. And I feel like I've been in business for quite a long time. I got my start in the late 80s and early 90s. I'm going to date myself there. But I was taught as a woman in business to be tough, to be smart, to be in control. I worked very hard to do all of those things. I think for 20 years, I probably didn't wear pink. I didn't talk about my family. I tried as hard as I could to espouse the opposite of empathy. And I'm so glad that at this point in time, I get to talk to leaders like you who are saying, you know what's important in business? Empathy and love. And so I really love, because I know you have studied this topic quite a lot, and it's the subject of your book, but why is it so important to bring empathy into leadership at this point in time?
Because at the end of the day, all organizations are about people,
Mm,
whether it's your employees, whether it's your customers, whether it's your board, whoever. And what empathy really is about more than feeling is understanding and connection. So if you really want to have an organization that's supercharged for the future, connecting with your best resource, which is people, is what's going to do that.
yeah.
And the cool thing is you can be tough, you can be, driven, you can be intelligent and still have empathy. That's
Mm,
a myth that you can't. So, I mean,
wow.
not that
Thank
you bought into it, but some people
Yeah.
do.
That's really important, because you kind of think sometimes, and I'm sure that I have been fooled by that as well. It's got to be an either or, but you're right. Those characteristics are not mutually exclusive. You can be empathetic and tough and smart,
Yeah.
which I know that you are those things as well. So, yeah. Now, I know better than that. So I'm really curious then in your work, what are some ways you've seen emotionally intelligent leadership transform organizations?
Just with that connection, that personal connection, I mean, it can change culture. It actually can lead to profit, productivity, and innovation.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example of a director that I was working with because I really like those middle positions
Yeah.
because I get to lead both up and down.
Wow. And
So
they are in a tough position too. I think those middle positions, middle managers, that can be such a lonely place.
yes, it absolutely can, which is all the more reason why connection and understanding, which is what empathy is, really helps them out. So I was working with this director, and of course, they're like, well, come in and change our culture. Never mind that the culture was coming down from the top, and they're
Yeah.
expecting him to change it in the middle. But, the employee engagement scores were terrible. The,
Mm.
the department he was taking over, there'd been a lot of friction. There was some outlying bits of it that just had never felt as part of it. And so he's looking at me and he's like, "Okay, what do I need to do for this?" I'm like, "You've got to connect with your people, which means they've got to know you're an actual human being that lives and breathes and walks around. So I want you to actually go out and see and be seen every single day. And I
Mm.
don't mean that you have to go and do 3-hour coffee clatch. You just need to know who your people are and let them know that you're someone that it can be known, can be liked, and be trusted." And he
Mm.
did. And over a period of time, his people started coming to him, and it didn't take very long, because they had ideas for better efficiencies because they live in it every single day.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
had these ideas for years and nobody was listening. But all of a sudden, they had someone that they knew and they kind of liked, or at least they didn't dislike, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they were growing to trust. So they bring him these efficiencies and, to be able to create a better center where he was at, to be able to just clean up some long-standing problems, to do that sort of thing. And the next thing you know, these become innovations, right?
Mm.
Through these innovations, because they're able to do their job better, their productivity goes up. Plus, they feel they're being heard, they feel they're
Yeah.
being understood, they're feeling like part of a team. It's helping with the loyalty, it's cleaning up some of the goodwill issues that had been going on forever, and it started to instill this culture, even at the middle, that this is what they do. They listen and they work as a team.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the profit for his center went up for the first time in years. And now his higher ups are looking at him and going, "How did you do that? Your employee engagement scores went from like the 50s to the 90s. We've never seen it. How did you do it?"
Wow. Yeah.
And it was just a matter of actually connecting with his people on a human level. That's all it took.
Wow. Why is it so hard for humans to be human, Melissa? Like it, right? That is the question that comes to mind.
I I don't have an answer for that one. I don't know. Because I have the same response. I'm like, "Why is this? We're asking you to do what humans do."
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I love that. I love that. As you were giving that example, and that is just such a great example, I heard you say three things, and then I heard you actually repeat them in the storytelling. And I'm curious if there's, any connection here. When we read your book, will we read more about this? But you said you advised this leader to get out, walk around, so he could become known, become liked, and become trusted. I'm guessing those are really important parts of the formula, the connection here. Can you tell us more?
Yeah. So when you think about the super top leaders, right? And not necessarily because it's their fault, but they're people that are usually closed up in their office,
Yeah.
that they don't get out,
Yeah.
that their people have no idea who they are. So they're just like a name. And if they ever do come out of their office, everybody thinks something's wrong. It's
Yeah,
like,
right,
"Oh,
right. What's
someone's getting fired."
yeah, what's she doing here? Yeah, yeah.
Right. But they're missing the opportunity for people to actually get to know them human to human. So in our human brains, we just see them as this figurehead instead
Mhm.
of being someone that not only we can give empathy to, but can return it.
Yeah.
Because empathy, when it's working best, goes in both directions.
Both directions. All right, since you
Yeah.
said that about both directions, there's another question that I've rattling in around in my head. Do you have any thoughts on empathy towards self?
Oh, absolutely. Self-empathy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like that's the hardest one when I interact with somebody who's like very harsh and outwardly judgmental. I often think, wow, they must really be hard on themselves as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I see with the leaders I work with too. Because usually they're very ambitious. They're very highly self-actualized. They're driven. I mean, these are people that are gunners. They know what they want and they know how to get
Yeah.
there. But in the process, they often lose track of themselves, which is why leaders burn out at like
Mm,
35%.
mhm,
You end up with addiction issues, you end up with family issues,
mhm.
all of this stuff. And it's because they don't know how to show empathy for themselves first. Plus, if you can't show it for yourself, how are you going to show it for anybody else?
Yeah. Wow, that is good stuff. So, what do you say to people who ask you or challenge you on whether um, having empathy, acting with empathy is actually practical, right? I mean, sometimes there is that belief that, showing empathy is going to mean that you get walked all over or it's going to be expensive to show empathy, right? Because maybe you're going to, I don't know, make some adaptations or give people, more time off or I don't know. I'm just going through in my head what all of those objections towards practical empathy might be.
So there was an Ernst& Young survey that happened right after the end of the pandemic, and it was specifically looking at the Great Resignation. And they surveyed leaders, they surveyed employees, they surveyed all of it. And what they found was that the leaders that could actively and effectively use empathy raised their productivity by 87%, their innovation by 86%, and their profit by 84%. And this is not Melissa's opinion. This is Ernst& Young, who have had
Wow.
their own problems in the last couple of years, but all the
Yeah,
same.
right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, because that number improving by 87%, 86%, 84%, I mean, that's almost doubling, right? And
Mhm.
I think a lot of us would walk the desert for a 20% improvement, right? And so just to know, like, having understanding of people and doing your three things to be known, be liked, and trusted, that can give you that kind of results. Amazing. I'm so happy that this survey and this research and your work is coming to light. And I'm curious, Melissa, how does someone like you become an empathy and EQ expert, right? Like, I'm really curious. You mentioned you worked with your husband, you were in healthcare consulting, but that's a pretty big jump to really like saying, I am going to make this the focus of what I'm doing.
So it actually started out before then.
Okay.
I was a musician. I was a French hornist. I loved
Oh,
it.
I love that.
I got to tour in Rome. I got to play with people like Ray Charles and Mannheim Steamroller, and these aren't people that were in my orbit. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
those are big names. We all know those names.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but unfortunately being a gigging musician, I'm also hopelessly addicted to food, shelter, and clothing. So I knew that if I wanted to have benefits and that kind of thing, I was going to have to get my doctorate and probably be a professor. And that's what I did. And
Yeah.
I found a French horn professorship and I got it. And I went out there and within my first semester, so like within months of being there, I was assaulted by one of my colleagues.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. And the more I talk about this, actually, the more people come forward and they go, yeah, I had stuff like that happen to me too in a toxic workplace.
Wow.
And that's really what it comes down to is this place was so systemically broken that it was completely toxic. And I ended up losing my career over it.
Mm,
And I'm not the only one. I
yeah.
mean, a lot of people end up going through this. The problem with being a French horn player is I got out kind of in my mid 40s and it's like, now what do? I don't
Right.
really know.
You probably
So
weren't set for retirement on the pay that you made as a French horn player, even though you were very good and traveled with big acts.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was fantastic, but I mean, starving musician is
Mm,
is what it is.
yeah.
So I just But the thing is I lost a career I dedicated my life to, and I just couldn't let it go. I just
Mhm.
kept coming back to what was the problem? What was so broken that they were fine taking this stuff away, that they were fine breaking people and just
Mm.
leaving them. And I kept coming back to this lack of connection, which just kept coming back to empathy. And then after that, I was doing consulting with my husband, and I was seeing the same things over and over again, that people were fine just not connecting and not understanding and allowing these horrible toxic situations to just be because they didn't even know how to begin addressing it. It was so
Mm.
huge. Even if it's a small organization, it's such a looming problem of what do I do with this, assuming they want to do anything about it at all.
Yeah.
So that's what got me on the track of empathy. And I started
Wow.
digging around and looking for a leadership program. And I found the one there at Creighton, which is,
Yeah.
you know,
Creighton is not far. I'm based, most of you know I'm based in Nebraska. KidGlov has an office in Omaha where Creighton is. Just a wonderful school, a wonderful medical center, a great community. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
great.
So
I'm really interested as you talk about this in your journey, because the music industry is really kind of known for chewing people up and spitting them out. I too work in an industry, advertising, that, if you watch a lot of the shows on advertising known for chewing people up and spitting them out. And that's why our brand, Kid Glove, is all about treating people with kid gloves. We wanted from our foundation to be the kind of place that treats both people and brands with great care. So at the time we were founded in 2010, I didn't really have the words empathy. I mean, I knew what the word empathy meant, but we weren't talking about empathy in business at the time. Just naming ourselves Kid Glove was a little bit out there, but I feel somewhat vindicated in that, what we thought at the time is really coming to fruition. And I think the world is going to be a much better place as we continue to do this work. And so part of doing this work is let's look at this book that you wrote. It's a fairly new book, The Empathetic Leader. Can you tell us about it and what you hope the people who read it will take away?
So I kind of wrote it like a manual,
Mm,
because we actually talk about the book specifically zeroes in on how you use empathy to connect with emotional intelligence.
yeah,
Because the first article on emotional intelligence came out in 1990, and then Daniel Goleman's book was
really.
95. Yeah.
Wow. It wasn't like a big thing, right? Like I remember the concepts of leadership by walking around and who moved my cheese was kind of a big one. I mean, I think Patrick Lencioni and the 5 dysfunctions of a team was kind of becoming of age at that time, but empathy was a little bit quieter. It was a little bit more woo-woo at the time, right? Whereas I feel like it's
Yeah.
coming mainstream now.
Well, it's always been lumped in with emotional intelligence,
Ah,
you
yeah.
know? Whereas I really think it has to come first.
Mm,
I think you've got to understand and connect. Because if you think of emotional intelligence as a big tool bag, right? You got communication and motivation, and you've got hammers and saws and chisels and all this stuff in this
yeah.
tool bag. If you don't connect and understand with your people first, you don't know when you reach into that bag if you want a saw or a left-handed screwdriver. So
Yeah, yeah.
I I really think we have to start with empathy, and I think that may be where some of the disconnect is.
It's foundational, right? If you jump straight to some of the other strategies, some of the other tools without the understanding, that makes so much sense, Melissa. Like, I don't know if you could see or feel a light bulb going off on top of my head, but it's like, oh, that what you just said there connects the dots for me. So, where can we get this book? Is it on Amazon? Is it on your website? Where can we find it?
You can get it on Amazon or Barnes& and Noble or any of the online retailers, and right now, we have a hardcover, a soft cover, and Kindle, and there will be an audiobook coming out here, hopefully in the next month
Oh,
or so.
awesome. You and I will have to talk because our book at Kid Glove, Untangling Spaghetti, a Branding Fable, that audiobook is underway. And I love audiobooks, so I feel
Excellent.
bad that it's not out there yet. But audiobooks take a lot of time to do, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Are you, are you, and you're reading it yourself?
Yes.
I
Yep.
love an author-read audiobook, so good for you. We'll keep an eye out for that, and we'll make sure to get links to that book in the show notes. So, Melissa, I do want to ask you a question. I mentioned, and a lot of people know, KidGlov does a lot of work in the branding space. So I'm always curious about people's brands. And I love that you have the word empathy right in your brand name. What does that EQ via empathy brand name mean to you?
So, what it means, it goes along with the book that you're looking at emotional intelligence through the lens of empathy.
Mm,
So, that's the EQ, because EQ is short for emotional intelligence, EQ via empathy. Emotional intelligence as seen through the lens of empathy, but a
I
whole lot
love it.
shorter.
All right. I have a merchandising idea for you. I think empathy goggles should be next on your list once that audiobook is
Ooh,
done. Empathy goggles, right?
I like that.
All
Yeah.
right. We'll see. We'll see. What other than empathy goggles, what's on the horizon for you and EQ via empathy?
So, I've already started on book 2.
Wow. I tell you what, so many people I know write that first book and go, never again. And you have already started. Wow. Well,
Yep.
tell us
That
more. What should we be looking out for?
Well, the second one I want to actually be for anybody. This is going to be about
Mm.
empathy in daily life,
Oh,
empathy with how
yeah.
people experience it,
Yeah.
rather than just targeting leaders. This one's going to be pretty much for anybody. So,
Beautiful.
yeah.
I love it. So, Melissa, for everyone who's been listening, who's really excited about learning more, in addition to the links to the book, where can they find more information about you and EQ via empathy?
You can catch me at my website, which is eqviaempathy.com.
Nice.
And yeah, there is a link for the book. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I will send you a free chapter of the book. So you can take a
Ooh,
look and see what's actually in there, so that you kind of have an appetizer.
I love it. My copy of the book is en route on the way, but I'm definitely going to go sign up for that, and we'll have that link in the show notes as well. All right, I'm going to ask you a fun question, and I'm sure as an author, as a TEDx speaker, you are going to have a great answer for this, but our listeners know I am inspired by motivational quotes, and I would like an original quote from you to inspire our listeners.
So this is coming from the musician, that
Oh,
empathy is a practice, not a performance.
wow. Tell me more. I think I know what you mean by that, but I'd love to go deeper. It's such a beautiful quote.
So practice you do every day, every day, every day. If you're a performing musician, I mean hours every day. Even when you think you've got it, you still go back and practice it more. And that's exactly what empathy is. It's something you do as a skill every day and every day.
Wow.
Performance is something you do one time and then you say, "Okay, that's it." And that's
Yeah.
that's not you don't pull empathy out at the once a year, all organization meeting and then say you're done with it. You practice it
Right.
every day, every day.
Wow. Empathy is a practice, not a performance. I've said this before, but I feel like I'd really love that as a poster right behind my shoulder here. Someday I'm going to have my whole office just wallpapered with quote posters from this podcast, but that is one of my favorites. So, Melissa, as we wrap up this great conversation today, I always have so much fun when I talk to you. What is the most important thing you would like our listeners to remember about this work that you're doing?
I think the biggest thing, especially on a personal level, is to remember that empathy and judgment cannot exist in the same space.
Ooh, wow.
So if you're feeling judgment for yourself, you're not going to feel self empathy. If you're feeling judgment for someone else, you're not going to be able to give them empathy. And I think that's a really important sign to just be aware of.
Wow. If I put your quote, empathy is a practice, not a performance, behind me on my shoulder or on the wall behind my shoulder, I think I want to put that empathy and judgment cannot coexist, like right in front of my face here. That is such good advice, practical advice. Melissa, I'm sad that this is coming to an end. I'm going to say that I fully believe the world needs more people like you, more firms like EQ via empathy, And I just appreciate you taking time to talk with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited with KidGlov that you're doing the same thing with the marketing industry. Because if all of us keep doing it in our respective places, people are going to have to notice.
Yeah, they're going to have to notice. We are not going quietly into the
No.
background, are we? All right.
Nope.
Melissa, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was such a pleasure, Lynn.
We hope you enjoyed today's Agency for Change podcast. To hear all our interviews with those who are making a positive change in our communities, or to nominate a changemaker you'd love to hear from, visit KidGlov.com at KIDGLOV.com to get in touch. As always, if you like what you've heard today, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.